Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe they told me that I would never make it? Now we smiling in their faces, smiling in their faces.
What's going on? Welcome back to Tyler Rose TV. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe. For today's video, we got something that's been brewing on social media. LeBron James, as y'all may have heard or may have not heard, this is what he had to say.
Be so pissed off about, at some point, like you said, it'd be a conversation that'd be brought up again, and hopefully we can kind of figure it out and get to a better place about it, because the game is different. Like, I want people to understand, and our fans to understand, that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s. It's just not. The way we play, the level of pace, the level of the speed that we're playing at, it's a different game now. It's a totally different game. And, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries that's happened now because of it. I hope we can get a handle on that as well, because that's big in our game. I think when I first came into the league, Reese, like, some of the biggest concerns of injuries was a high ankle sprain. You was afraid to step on somebody's ankle because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. So, guys with athleticism, myself, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, to name a couple guys, sometimes you're afraid to take off into the lane because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. And if you land on somebody's ankle, you get a high ankle sprain, you out 4 to 6 weeks. Now that's not really much of you don't really see that as much now because the game is so spread open, it's so much pace. But now you see the new high ankle sprain is the calf.
Right.
Hopefully we could get a handle on that from a medical standpoint. But it's just a game. I just want the fans to understand that the game is a little different.
So this rubs a lot of people the wrong way, especially the people who've played in the past generations. Former players from different decades can chime in and speak about their era, how physical it was, how challenging it was. And in particular, KG and Paul Pierce both had something to say about this era, the current era and the former eras, and how things are different, but in the same breath, there's no excuse really, because there's certain things that players aren't doing today. So without further ado, what we're gonna do, we're gonna roll the clips from KG and Paul Pierce, and then stay tuned for what I gotta say. So if you're new to the channel, don't wanna miss out on future content, hit that subscribe. Let's get into it.
There's more movement, right? Let's just say they're circling. In the 2000s, we had to fight through picks.
Yeah.
We had to really fight
it's more physical.
On defense.
It was more physical.
So, that's harder to do. If I got to, tonight, I got to get through this Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason pick and roll all night.
It's not harder on your Achilles, Paul.
Times,
mentally
so many times I'm bruised up after the game. My shoulder hurts.
It's definitely more physical.
It's hurting.
So why were more guys playing 75 games a year then?
Because it was tougher. Well, now you're switching everything.
Right,
so you make up for the running you had to do on defense. For our era, you take that out of their defensive switching everything now. Because you had to stay home on everybody. So you did more running on defense than they do now.
More half court set though. I don't disagree. It was definitely a tougher era. It was definitely more physical. Yeah. But this era is more miles. They're getting more miles. They're running more marathons, bro. So that's why the tendons. You having the tendon issue.
I do think they just do more.
So it's more up and down. It's less half court set. Back then,
so
it's
that makes it harder.
More pinned down. No, I'm not saying it's harder. I'm just saying
it's harder on your body.
It's harder for the tendons.
When I'm switching on defense every time down.
No,
but you're not.
I'm switching.
No, you're not. Every
and now
time.
we're watching. Now I'm sitting here on defense watching the ISO ball.
You're taking it different. Like I'm not saying it's harder. I'm saying it's harder for your tendons on the body than it is. Like
I think
that was probably a harder
the defense
mentally
to play.
Mentally and physically. I think it was harder than to actually do it. But
Paul's saying these guys aren't tough enough to play 75 games.
When we ran through the middle of the paint, you was getting hit. You was gonna get hit.
Yeah, you was.
You was gonna get hit way more.
But you was also playing half court set more, so it's more stagnant.
Bro,
it's more getting
way
hit.
more stagnant, bro. Way less movement.
So again,
more getting hit,
would you rather get the bruises of muscle bruises or tendon bruises? Like, that's the difference.
Why are we getting tendon bruises?
Because
we're not conditioned. Because we're not practicing every day.
Maybe so. I agree with that.
Practice every day. So
I agree with that.
Like you heard the term when you was growing up, practice how you play. Well, you're playing and not practicing.
And they're going not even at game speed.
Now you're hamstring. Why is there more hamstrings? Because you're not practicing how
I think
you
it's
play.
just over. I think it's over.
So I'm going to play what KG had to say in just a second, but I do agree with Paul Pierce is saying about the physicalness of the game. Like, listen, I remember me being a young boy, man, playing finally getting a chance to play on that big court, when you're like 13, 12 years old. Bro, I was trying to get by these picks from these grown-ass men, man, and it was setting screens, bro. It's hard to get through those screens. And these people were bigger than me. I'm a skinny, young boy, but not to compare that to the NBA, but I'm just saying that there's definitely physicality when you're trying to get over screens from dudes that are, 7 feet tall, 300 pounds. You know what I'm saying? We're not switching every single thing. And when he talk about the pace of play, I do say it is faster today from, the 2000s, because that was the dead ball era. But the highest pace team of all time was the 1990-1991 Denver Nuggets. So they had a 113.68 pace factor. So when we talk about pace, the fastest pace of a team ever was in the 90s. And then the highest complete NBA season for pace was the 1961-1962 season. So when we talk about pace, there's been eras and decades where the pace of game has been faster, yet people were still playing 82 games. So when people say the pace of play, well, I think it's more so what KG had to say. And let's segue into what KG had to say.
Some of the trainers were talking about the lack of calf raises for some of the players to end their workout. Bro, we used to end a workout, especially on a leg day, calf raises. This is how I'm speeding up, this is how I'm stopping, this is my whole wiggle. If your calves ain't here. And on top of, whenever I go to finish, I gotta be athletic enough to finish, right? Bro, when you start breaking that down,
like this is what Ticket talking about, that they out of shape. We practiced every day. We went up and down every day.
Like a game.
Like a game. So we 5-on-5 pretty much the whole season.
With drills.
With drills. And so now they come in and they doing a lot of individual work.
With a trainer.
So a lot of our shit was game speed. Right.
With a trainer.
And then in the summer.
At half speed.
Right.
For 30 minutes.
Right.
And then they're gonna go play a 2-hour fucking game and think they gonna play.
In the summer, we played ball.
Ball,
like, we played 5-on-5.
For 7 hours.
In the summer, they individual work every day.
For 30 minutes. With one trainer.
Yeah.
And think that's gonna be the same shit. Like, what are we talking about here? Bro, motherfucker do a whole workout an hour by himself. I come in here, it's 5 niggas in one workout doing 30 minutes. Bro, this is not the same shit, bro. No. Then he gonna go run Red Mountain and try to kill himself.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up. Ticket, you had a pretty, memorable...
I gotta guard a Tracy McGrady. I gotta guard a real nigga in fourth quarter and I'm tired of my legs done. How do I simulate that? I gotta go play against people like this, and then I gotta take my body and try to kill it. Because when you, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. This what them motherfuckers don't tell you about game 4 or game 5 or game 7. When you in mud and they come down to LO and they call in a triangle, you gotta stop LO from Lloyd, and I'm stuck in mud and my legs ain't even, and then, you know what I'm saying? And then I get to the huddle and 3-4 niggas is falling out. Motherfuckers don't wanna play no more. Bro, you can't simulate this. This is the foxhole you in. So you try to put yourself in simulate. He would go to, what's the dunes you go to?
Oh yeah, the dunes over there in Manhattan Beach.
I'm going to the opposite dune where it look like a whole mountain. Yeah. He doing that when I'm doing this one. We both talking shit about what it take to get to the top. He talking about how he threw up. I talking about how I threw up coming down. He threw up on the way up. Lord, who training like this? And why y'all training like that? Guess what? We get to the fourth quarter, we looking fresh. We dapping, yeah, nigga, you remember that?
Right.
Yo, Rich, nigga, let's get in there. You know what I'm talking about? You feel what I'm saying? So that's what we do.
The training, right? If you're not doing training camps, which I see training camps they're doing, but they're not as intense as before. I remember being a young boy watching Melo. It was a rookie wall they were talking about. And he was just basically just saying how tough it was to get into training camp. Like, you can barely breathe. Like, they were pushing you to the limits. Like, you're training really hard to the point where you train the way you play. That's, me growing up playing basketball, that's something that was always preached. It was like game speed. You play and train at game speed, not half speed, because you need to emulate what you're going to do on the court in order for you to succeed, right? So that's one of the things that I do agree with. And here's another thing too. Why the hell do teams have to play the same? Why can't a team say, I'm going to slow down the pace of the game when you play against me? When I watched basketball in the 2000s, the Phoenix Suns were a fast-paced team. Spurs were a slower-paced team, more of a half-court set. They didn't get out and run. Both teams able to be successful, but guess what? The slower-paced team in the Spurs end up winning more championships than that Phoenix Mike D'Antoni Suns. So when you ask yourself, why do I need to emulate every single way every other team is playing? If it's not working in my way, then why don't we change something? That's my biggest question with NBA teams. You have teams trying to impersonate the Golden State Warriors or a certain teams with small ball, spreading the floor, we're trying to hit threes. But if you don't have the personnel to knock down threes, if you don't have the personnel to play that style, why do you continue to play that style? Why don't you think for yourself and say, maybe the personnel I have is more suited for a low post game? You know, well, I don't understand that with basketball, and that's what makes it so hard for me to watch. So when I see KG saying how hard he trains, it makes me think about these trainers that we see. We see the Chris Brickleys, and not no disrespect to him or anybody who's training, but all they do is show highlights of themselves taking 3-point shots or taking open threes, taking open threes. And yeah, that's great, but they're not showing the grit. They're not showing the grind. It's everything becomes so perfect when it comes to Instagram and social media. They don't want to post themselves being vulnerable, throwing up, training hard, going to the limit, pushing themselves past limitations, or just giving up, strictly just sitting there in a deep sweat, a full body drenched in sweat, and you have nothing left in the tank and you gave it your all. We'll never get those scenes, but we get you was making 10 threes in a row in an open gym with no one guarding you. And you wonder why these dudes are getting hurt. You wonder why they get hurt is because, like KG said, they're not practicing during the season. They're not practicing to the point where they're exhausted and they can't go no more. You have to push yourself to the point where you are playing in these fourth quarter situations and these big games in the finals and these big games in the playoffs where you don't have legs, when you're ready to freaking give up. Your body was used to pushing through those limits. So you're ready now. You feeling fresh, like he said. And I just want to say, when it comes to the sport of basketball, we're seeing a real clear difference between the past generations and the new generation. And one thing people will always say is that this is the most skilled generation. But what is skill if you don't work hard? What is skill, right, if you are not pushing yourself or don't have heart or dedication or competitive drive? It becomes a bad product. It becomes, I'm skilled because I can dribble the ball and shoot better than past generations. But that doesn't make the game more interesting. It doesn't make the game more entertaining, and it doesn't make a better product. So you can't sell me on players are overly talented if the players don't care about playing hard. It don't freaking sell. It will never sell. So if you're new to the channel, these are my thoughts on this. LeBron, I think he's pushing this narrative for himself because he's not able to keep up with his body at this point. And even when he did play in his prime, I think he played 82 games one time. So a guy's supposed to spend $1 million on his body, yet he's got to say things like he did. It kind of makes it like an excuse. I'm not a fan of excuses. I'm a fan of people being accountable and saying, I wish I could, I need to get better, I would take care of my body, whatever. Stop making excuses, man. People have played faster pace of basketball in different eras and became successful at it. There's no excuse for you not to do it. So these are my thoughts. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.